All right, every investor is talking about it, but most of them don't even know what just happened. Propstream didn't just update a few features, they acquired Batch. That's right, two of the biggest platforms in real estate lead gen are now under one roof. This isn't just a software update, this is power consolidation, and it's going to reshape the way that serious investors pull, stack, and skip and close deals in 2025. And today, Burton, the guy who's behind the messaging, the rollout, and the strategy, is here to tell you exactly what that means for your business. No fluff, no filter. Welcome to the Closers Club. Burton, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on today. This is really big, right? Propstream and Batch coming together feels like just the ultimate power move. So let's cut right through all the noise, all the stuff that's going on online. What does this acquisition actually mean for everyday investors and wholesalers like me who are trying to use these tools to lock up deals?
Oh, great question. I think when it comes to the everyday user, the investor who's looking for tech that's going to help them close their deals, this is good news for you guys. I mean, I personally say that only because I've spoken to many people who have heard good things about both products. Right? Sure. Let's face it, for the longest time, you could see videos, you could see articles, people having their conversations at events about, which product was better. And to me, all that really did was create analysis paralysis for some folks. Folks who were wondering which product should I go for, right? I hear one audience saying this, another audience saying that. And unfortunately, that might have prevented someone from actually making a decision and reaching out to a homeowner and helping somebody, right? Which is ultimately what we're here for. Right. Correct me if I'm wrong. So to me, I think this is a huge power play. Whether you're on this side of the fence or that side of the fence, we're now working together to do the same thing we've always wanted to do, which is help more people. And then for those that were in the analysis paralysis, the window shopping phase, now you have two powerhouses coming together. So I think for those that haven't gotten involved in real estate or are going to be coming into real estate, this is a huge win for them. For those that were either on this side or that side of the fence, this is a huge win for you, obviously, because the technology stacks will eventually become integrated together.
And I think that's really important. Like, you guys have a ton of overlap, before you merged, but there were still things that you did better on some things. And there were some things that Batch probably didn't, like they had the dialers and the batch driven and all of those types of things. So now all of that comes into one really powerful platform.
And you nailed it. That's exactly what we were researching when the acquisition first kind of became a topic. We were looking at the tech stacks. We were looking at some of the voids that we had as a product, some of the voids that they had as a product, and where the integration can really become a win for our users and for, again, even us as a company. And so, again, the obvious was the dialer. I mean, we've always had the request to have one, and we always saw the power of having one. It gets you closer to that homeowner. It proves the point that the data is really good, right? And so with this acquisition, the roadmap now has that in play. And so I'm really excited to get that implemented when we get that implemented, because again, we're known for our data, but I always say you can't prove the data is good unless someone's calling you back. And now I see a vision where you'll be able to pull lists, get some top tier skip tracing data, because that's what we've also acquired through Batch as well. Plus, with our other layers of skip tracing data that we have, you put those two together, and now you have a dialer besides the postcards and emailing platform that we have. So to me, I think what we've done is we're just closing that gap of getting to that homeowner much faster. And I say that because when I started in 2013 with this little software right here on my shoulder, it used to take 2-3 weeks just to get a homeowner to call you back because of the postcard, unless you were knocking on their door. But so the gap is closing, and I think this is essentially what this is representing.
Cool. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because that's one thing that I see a lot online is this company has great data or this company's data is crap. Like, talk a little bit about, where all that comes from, if you can, and, what makes, obviously, Propstream. I've used you guys for gazillions of skip tracing, but what makes your guys' data the best? And then, what does bringing in batch do for what you guys have already provided for your clients?
Great question. I think what people fail to realize is that in the space of data, data is static. Most
Mhm.
companies have data, or they're essentially the select few repositories that anybody can
Mhm.
go to collect data, right?
Right.
No big surprise if anybody's listening, but most of the data that we have is public data.
Mhm.
So the mortgage data, the name of the owner, transaction date, the sell amount, unless you're in a non-disclosure state.
Yeah.
So most of the data that we have is public data, which you could obtain through many different repositories. Just open an
Mhm.
account and go ahead and collect that. The MLS data, that's a different story. That one takes a little bit of relationship building, because
Yeah.
that requires the CEOs and the AEs to give you permission to their feed, the
Mhm.
IDX, the RETs, the VAL feed, to just even publish that within your product.
Mhm.
So I think ultimately what people fail to realize is that no two providers are the same, because it's a matter of what they do once they've acquired that data,
Yes.
right? So I like to say this. For example, David, you and I can go to the same grocery store today, side by
Mhm.
side. We can buy the same 10 ingredients side by
Mhm.
side, but who cooks better with it? And that's
Mhm.
what people forget, right?
Right.
Again, most of these platforms are getting the same data, but once they acquire that data,
Mhm.
who's actually auditing the data? Who's actually in what we call hygiening the data? Who's
Right.
adding additional logic to the data?
Mhm.
Because you might have, in some cases, discrepancies within the provider. One provider might
Yeah.
say that property is listed on January 1st. The other
Mhm.
provider might say, no, it was listed on January 2nd. So who's right
Right.
and who's wrong, right? So it's what you do with that data. And so when we acquired batch leads, same story there, right? They were
Right.
doing certain things with the data, and
Mhm.
some may have been as great and unique that we probably are looking at it like, whoa,
Mhm.
okay, hold on here, maybe that could be brought on over, and then vice
Yeah.
versa. They might have had some things that they weren't doing that we were doing
Mhm.
that separated us from them,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So the goal now is, with the acquisition, especially on the data side, the batch lead side,
Mhm.
is to definitely look at that tech stack, look at all the data sets that they have, and kind of take the best of the best and then integrate
Love
that
it. Yeah.
over into Propstream, and then down the road, that's a luxury to our users that they'll be able to have.
I think that's so important what you said. It's having that just big Excel spreadsheet with 10 billion records doesn't mean anything. It's the ability to go in there and manipulate that, and to be able to go into a platform like yours and just pull out absentee owners, just pull out, probate deals, or, tax delinquent, or whatever it is. But then the other side of that is, all data providers are subject to the data that you're collecting, right? So if there's a corrupted, this happened in Chattanooga years ago, there was the file that you bought from the county or whoever in Chattanooga was corrupted, and there was all kinds of bad data for like 3 months until they released a new update, or some title company that doesn't decide to file the deed for 90 days, right? There are definitely outside factors that can affect that don't have anything to do with you guys. And then, I get asked this question a lot when we were coaching is, oh, a certain percentage of the skip, I get 10 hits back on my skip tracing, and seven are wrong. I'm like, well, I've skip traced myself, and it gives me everything. When I lived in Miami, when I lived in Boston, when I lived in, so those are real records. They're just, like you said, they're not current and up to date, but they're still records that are out there. So I just always want to like dispel that myth that, it's something bad that Batch did or PropStream did. It's not. It's the data that's
No,
available.
I think you've inherited, and a lot of people tend to forget that there's just inherently data that can't, that's going to come, not necessarily bad, and I use air quotes
Hmm.
on that, but just
Yeah.
the variables that are non-controllable. Like,
Hmm.
we've seen it all the time. We've seen houses that are supposed to have a sold status on it, but the
Yeah.
agent keeps it active to capture more leads, right?
Right.
To
Right.
then promote other listings.
Hmm.
And then we see the counter recorded before the agent changes this. So there are
Yeah.
things that you just can't control.
Yeah. It's not magic.
Um,
Yeah.
it's not. And then same thing with skip tracing. There's this misconception out there that there's a platform out there that's supposed to have every phone number, and every person that you call on your
Yeah.
results is going to pick up.
Only
But
the government has that, not us.
and even then, I
Yeah.
tell people, let's even use that as an example. I love this example. Let's say the government was where we get our skip tracing results from, right? So David, you go to them with 100 pre-foreclosure addresses, you get your 100 phone numbers. I go to them with 100 cash bot records, and I get my 100 phone numbers. And then we go back to our office. And before we pick up the phone, which list do you think has more disconnected phone numbers and people that just don't want to talk to anybody because they think they're credit repairs? You think it's the cash buyers list or the pre-foreclosure list? So it's the same provider, different results because you got two different categories. And people forget that. People expect, oh, if I skip trace a list of 10 pre-foreclosures and I get 10 phone numbers, those phone numbers better pick up. Otherwise, your product sucks.
Yeah.
That's an unrealistic expectation. You're trying to... You're trying to, these are phone numbers that are behind financially challenged homeowners. So if they're not paying their mortgages, hence they're in pre-foreclosure, they're probably not paying credit card bills, phone bills, car bills.
Yeah.
You're just another creditor. So if they do have their phone still active, they're not going to pick up for you, you know? So people forget that, again, the story all starts with the data. And this is why it's such a pet peeve for me and the company to make sure that we stay on top with our data because it feeds everything down the pipeline.
Yeah, I think that that's so important. I remember when I was dealing with my tenants directly, I can't tell you how many times they would, in the course of a year, a tenant would change phone numbers. Like it's just, it's absolutely mind-boggling. And yeah, I mean, you're right. There are definitely people who do not want to pick up the phone. I've gotten so many, offers for loans at this point that I don't want to pick up my phone anymore either. I'm ready to change my own number.
I'm there. I got so many scam calls. I'm happy that my Google phone tells me scam call or likely scam. So but they still come in fast and furious. I get about 15 a day. It's wild.
They do. All right, man. So what else is going on over there? But you guys, you bought Batch. How long? Any idea how long it'll take for that integration to take place? Are they still operating as two different platforms?
Yes, status quo right now. So if you're listening, what do I do? Do I, is this going to change? Do I have to go into Propstream to log in now? No, status quo. But as a company right now, there's a lot of internal moving parts, and that's understanding the tech stack, understanding the new employees that we also are now working with. So shout outs to the new team that we've brought in. Really great people, I must say. It's funny because, and I say this from my perspective, I used to hear the consumers or the viewers out there, the folks out there say Batch versus Propstream. And, in my head, I always thought, okay, I guess we're at some competition with them. But now that I'm talking to a lot of these Batch employees, former Batch employees that are now Propstream, we all have the same goal. So it's really cool to just see that, hey, it's you guys that pinned us against each other.
Yeah. Well, people love drama.
For us. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so knowing that we're now officially one whole team and we're all working towards the same goal, which
stronger
is our goals initially, it's amazing. But to start off the new things, we decided to do an update. And I'd like to share that with you.
Sure.
So the first thing we did was we decided to share our update our search page. So when you first log in, it's going to look normal. You get the pop-up. You'll notice the map is a little bit brighter. That's because we actually defaulted it. Normally, it was a satellite view. We're now defaulting it to map view. And the reason for this is we were getting a lot of calls about the draw search feature being really hard to use, especially with satellite view in certain areas. So the first thing we wanted to do is default that. It should just load up your screen faster, in my opinion, too. Second, when you're now pulling up a market, so let's say we go to San Antonio today, you'll notice that the results are slightly different. What we've done now is we've created result cards or map cards. And so you'll be able to see a little bit more description. So rather than laid out top to bottom, you'll see it. Absolutely. And then as you click on any of these results here, they'll highlight the pin on the map.
Look at that.
And then
you're like Airbnb now. It's looking good.
There you go. And then you'll be able to go through the photos if there are any photos. So essentially, this is the major change. You'll also see value pins up to 250 on the map. And so we just wanted to kind of uplift the first thing that you saw when you come in, just to kind of start off this half of the year with hey, we still got a lot more time left for the remainder of 2025. And with this acquisition and all the new devs and all the things we're working on, yeah, there's way more to come. So look out for that. So this is just one of our recent updates, and that's just enhancing the search page by introducing the value pins, enhancing the search results. And then when you click on any of the results, value pin will be highlighted and photos can now be
beautiful,
siphoned through.
Man, you guys have done so many improvements, even just in the last couple of years. The user experience is just, it's getting better and better and better. I popped on the other day to pull up some properties, and I was just shocked at how much easier and nicer it was.
That's the impression. Yeah, we really want to just let people know. I mean, again, we've been in product since 2006, and so it's constant our mind to constantly improve and get it to the modern standard, and if not, pave the way to what a real estate product should look like when you're utilizing it as an investor. So thank you. It means a lot to us.
I'm sure from 2013 when you started, like, to now, it's light years different.
Oh my goodness, light years different. And even I've had a few moments of hesitancy where I'm like, let's not change that. And then we go about it. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? Hold on here. That actually looks good. Yeah. So, but what I love is that we get constant feedback. A lot of the things that we've done over the course, at least in my tenure of the course of 12 years, has been because of just the suggestions or the opinions that we get, and criticism even that we get from some of our users. It might be because something is, taking too much time to get to it, or if not that, it might be maybe it takes too many steps to get to that certain feature. So just want to thank those that are listening, those that have been long-term Propstream users. We appreciate your constant feedback. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So please keep sending us your feedback. We'd love to grow with you.
Yeah. What are some of the big requests that are coming in now that maybe you guys are working on? Can you talk about any of those?
Dialer.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay, the dialer. Well, I guess you're working on that.
I'm telling you, I've been wanting to say something about the acquisition for a while. It was already on my radar for quite some time, but with all the secretive stuff that's happening. But that to me is the biggest thing. Obviously, the new data sets that we're now looking through with batch leads and all the data sets that have been released this year through all the other companies, new filters and other stuff like that. So, and if for those that didn't see it recently, we did do an enhancement on our pricing. We introduced two new packaging, two new package options. So you have your basic plan, which everyone is familiar with, $99 a month. The only difference with that plan is we increased your monthly limit. Previously it was $10,000 a month.
Right.
We decided, you know what, you guys are marketing a lot more this time around, so we increased it to $25,000 every single month. So base plan still the same price, just more records now. You literally get an increase of 150%. And then the Pro plan, for $199, the Pro plan includes 50,000 leads, lead automator. Those that don't know, that lets you automate your leads, import outside data to get our data, and then free skip tracing. That's the big money saver. So you can skip trace up to 50,000 leads with that.
I think that's really, really huge. Again, I remember back in the day when skip tracing was 14, 17 cents a piece. And now you guys are going to do 50,000. Is it 50,000 for that price?
Every month. Every month. Yeah, $199 a month. And that gives you 50,000 skip tracing every month.
Yeah.
Do the math. I mean, that $199. Just the skip tracing alone will save you a lot of money.
I had somebody message me on Facebook the other day asking who would I recommend for skip tracing? I'm like, just go to Propstream. Like, there's a plan now for that. It's all included there. There's no place else to go. Just stay there. stay within the best system that's out there, and the people with access to the best data that there is, that's constantly updated. Because I don't think, some people, and I hate to keep coming back to skip tracing, but there are other companies out there that will do this really stupid cheap skip tracing, but they buy data once a year. So you could be buying stuff that's a year outdated, and and then you're really beating your head wondering why you get 1 out of 10 numbers to work, and you're just wasting your time and your just resources.
Absolutely. And again, our skip tracing was amazing to begin with, but we've also heard many good things about batch skip tracing. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The first move that we can make that's really easy is integrating that skip tracing into our platform. So look out for that. But again, free skip tracing with the Pro plan and the Elite plan,
Yeah.
and now you have an enhancement in our skip tracing data.
Hmm.
Then you have the dialer coming in the future. So kind of
Right.
paint that picture on your own, guys. You can see
Hmm.
that roadmap that we're
Yeah.
trying to build. So
Where do you see, and this kind of is a final question, where do you see AI going with all of this data, and with a with a platform like Propstream? Where do you guys see that integrating into what you're doing?
we've already integrated AI through
Hmm.
our estimated values. We have an
Hmm.
AVM model that utilizes AI. We have Propstream
Oh.
Intelligence, which takes a look at MLS photos and gives it
Hmm.
a condition grade, and then users like you can filter it.
Hmm.
We have the foreclosure factor that looks at pre-foreclosure, foreclosure data, and then gives you the probability of an address with the
Hmm.
similarity, right? So, like,
Okay.
hey, this address is similar to this house in
Hmm.
foreclosure. Maybe you
Nice.
might want to call that homeowner. In
Awesome.
terms of like my personal thought, I
Hmm.
think AI can be used in many ways when it comes to the tech space. I think right now it's heavily used more for the outbound side in terms
Hmm.
of like use AI for marketing, right? So let's use AI to dial and talk to the homeowner on your behalf.
Hmm.
Let's use
Hmm.
AI to create this template, a postcard, an email, or a website on your behalf.
Hmm.
So what I personally see is that AI is being heavily used on that. What I'm proud of is that our company has kind of looked at it in terms of how can we utilize it to, with the internal data that we're collecting. Because
Yeah.
again, us as a company, we buy data. So how
Hmm.
can we focus the AI to look at that data, create maybe unique data out of it, or enrich it to
Right.
enhance the accuracy? So when users pull lists, and we can't guarantee perfect, but
Yeah.
we're closing that gap, and that's really the ultimate goal. So to me,
Hmm.
AI can be used for marketing. It
Hmm.
can be used to, enhance the data sets that you as a company are purchasing.
Hmm.
And then there are a few in betweens, but those are kind of like niche use cases, I would say.
Yeah. Awesome. Burton, my friend, thank you so much for popping on today. I know we do this every month, so I definitely want to dig more into the AI when we regroup again next month, because I think that's really amazing, and that's what people want to know about, right? Is how we can do this business and use a resource like PropStream, and then with you guys adding AI on it, how that really just turbocharges what we're trying to do. So
There you go.
thank you so much for coming on, guys. Make sure that you click like, follow, do all of the things. Welcome, and I appreciate you hanging out with us here at the Closers Club. We'll talk to you soon.